Hi everybody, and welcome to Traveling with Russell. Welcome to a very overcast and wet Moscow. And welcome to an interesting video about cars. There is a brand new Russian-made car that's just started being available for sale, and I thought I'd go check it out. The car dealership we want to go and see is right in front of me here, and the car brand is called TENET. And this is the newest brand of cars that are available here in Russia that are actually built, made and assembled here in Russia. And this is actually a multi-brand car dealership called BorisHof Vnukovo. It's actually named because Vnukovo Airport is just a few kilometers down the road. Where I am here is a very busy highway called Kiev Highway, or in Russian Kievki Shosey. And this actually is the main road that leads to my house. I live about 20 minutes down the road from here, and I go past this particular set of dealerships every day when I head into Moscow. And you can actually see on the roof here some other brands. So TENET, Cherry, Toyota, Belgi and Exceed. And then if we actually look across the road, it's probably a little bit hard to see because of the amount of cars and traffic. There is actually all of the other brands that are from the same dealership over there. So Jayco, Omoda, Haval, and I think there's a couple of others tucked in the back. Now, what's really interesting is this particular dealership where I am here was originally a main dealership for Toyota. And effectively in the last couple of years, the sign has shrunk a little. However, they still sell Toyotas. We might actually go and have a look at what they've got on display. But the main thing we want to see is this Russian brand called TENET. Now, if I'm saying it wrong, please correct me. However, there's a lot of interest about this car here in Russia. And I think perhaps in terms of social media and on YouTube, there isn't any information about this car. Now, we will actually have a look inside because it's a little bit noisy out here. It's actually a 8-lane highway, quite literally behind me. But this is one of the models that we're going to see. There's actually a couple of different ones they've got on display. And it might be interesting just to know a little bit of further information about this car and how it came to be manufactured here in Russia. One thing that did catch my eye is this Lada Niva here in the car park, and I wonder if this is one of the cars that belongs to the salesman inside, or perhaps one of the sales ladies. This is the Niva Legend, which is the slightly upgraded model from the classic Lada Niva. And I have made a video at one of the Lada dealerships before. You might want to check that out. It's really cool to see this parked here in the shadows of these other car brands. Inside the dealership, the two different models that we're going to look at are both in white. There is actually this grey colored one parked outside, which is actually super nice. Anything other than white is always an interesting car. However, I think the cost for paint is cheaper, and that's why you always see a lot of white cars produced. If you're wondering why you're watching this video, and you're curious why an Australian guy who has the least amount of car knowledge in the world is making a video about cars, I'm an Australian who lives here in the Moscow region. I quite literally live just down the road from here, and I make videos about a lot of everyday, normal, typical things. And I like to mix up some of the videos on the channel and show you all sorts of very normal things. And to see a brand new model of Russian car, I think it makes for a very interesting video. So I hope you enjoy it, and others that are here on the channel. Coming inside, it's actually nice and warm in here and much quieter than out on the main road. So this particular part of the dealership is shared by the Cherry brand and then by the TENET brand. So we'll actually see both models here in the same place. And of course, these are all of the display models, so they've got their battery chargers hooked up. And what we want to see are the cars at the back here. So there's a couple of different models. So we want to see this T4 right here. Now all the cars are in white. However, not a problem. And then there's the T7. So we've got two different models. The TENET T7 and T4. I think by now everybody around the world is more than accustomed to seeing Chinese cars on the road and the different brands that are now available. And I think in the last few years, of course, there's been an increase in the amount of models that are becoming available. Of course, Russia and China are immediate neighbors, so it would only be natural that more Chinese brands come into the Russian market than what were here previously. And of course, with a lot of the Western car manufacturers choosing to leave Russia, it's left a gap or a hole in the market. And also, a lot of these Western car manufacturers were producing cars in the Russian Federation. And essentially, they've abandoned their car factories and left an opening for Chinese companies to produce cars here in Russia. And these two cars are a very good example of that, because these are completely assembled here in Russia, not more than a few hundred kilometers down the highway. Talking a little bit more about the manufacturing of these. So the Chery Tiggo cars, the one that we're looking at right here, the Tiggo 9, is a Chinese manufactured car that's then imported to Russia, like it would be anywhere else in the world where you can buy a Chery Tiggo car. And then the TENET brand is very interesting, because this is assembled, manufactured and built completely here in Russia, 165 kilometers from where I'm standing at the factory in Kaluga. Now, if you're wondering how is that possible, it's because these are actually assembled and manufactured at what was the Volkswagen factory. And they're able to completely manufacture these cars on the same production line that Volkswagen had and were using to make their cars, of course. But now they're making these Russian cars. Now, what's very interesting when you talk about this manufacturing of Chinese cars in other countries is there's a few different methods that they use. And one is called screwdriver assembly, where the car is coming in a shipping container about 90% finished. And then they literally use a screwdriver to put it together, and you end up with a fully functioning car. And then there is something called full line production or full line assembly, where they bring all the parts from China and then manufacture the car at the car plant in Kaluga, like these are. So including the welding, the painting of the cars, and then all of the different parts are then put together to then make up the finished car. And then all of the drivetrain and gearbox and things like that are then attached onto the main shell of the car. So there's a full assembly line in Kaluga that's making these, and then they become a Russian manufactured car. So the two different models that they've got available for purchasing right now is the TENET T4. And here is the information if you want to pause it and read about it. 147 horsepower engine, maximum speed 210 kilometers an hour. Not sure whoever possibly does that. And this is automatic transmission. Pretty sure nowadays all the cars are coming in automatic. Let's have a look a little bit closer and have a look inside, shall we? Just for a minute, I want to pay homage to Hoovie's Garage. Anybody watches automotive YouTube channels, and he always calls himself the dumbest automotive channel on all of YouTube. But there again, I think he's also the smartest at the same time, and I'm not a car expert in any way. However, I can definitely look at the car and understand what it has. Electric windows, actually electric mirrors as well, and then all of the traditional comforts that you would get with any new modern car. Now, I don't know how it's going to come across on camera. Just jumping inside, got a digital display right here, and then your infotainment screen, Apple CarPlay, and then all of the things that you'd normally associate with that. Air conditioning, power steering, cruise control, and then you've got all of the dials here for your radio and things like that. Airbags. I think pretty much everything that you traditionally see on a car. This grey interior though, with this stitching, is very nice, I will say. There's really not too many things in here that you've got to press. Buttons and knobs and dials. And then this is automatic, of course, so you've really just got this very basic kind of adjustment here for the drive of the car. Yeah. What more do we need? Definitely space in the back to fit the kids or some adult passengers if you like. Actually, it's even got the middle seat belt there for a fifth person. Definitely like this grey interior. Super nice finish. I just asked somebody about if they like this white color, and the gentleman said, I'm sitting in the car, I'm not looking at the color of the car when I'm driving it. I think that makes a bit of sense. It's probably hard to pick up on camera, but there's almost a pearlescent color to this white finish. You can see like a sparkle that runs through the actual gloss of the paint. It's probably a little bit hard to see that. And coming in the back, all of the normal things in the boot, spare wheel, the jack, and then of course you can fold down the seats as well. So what we're really looking at here is a Chery Tiggo car that is now completely manufactured here in Russia. The only difference being that this is now slightly cheaper because it only has to come 165 kilometers up the highway and it's available for sale. I think the indicator lights are on the side mirrors as well. Then for anybody who wants to see under the hood, we can get a bit of a closer look. Now they've actually got the charger hooked up here to keep the car charged while it's in place. And I'm definitely no car guy. The only thing I know to do is to check the oil and the fluids, and that's about it. But the main thing is assembled in Russia. So it's not a Chinese car in any way. Of course, some of the parts are going to be Chinese, but the main shell and body of the car is manufactured and welded here in Russia, painted in Russia, and then finished here as well. So everything that you're seeing is touched by Russian hands in the manufacturing of this car. One thing I did notice now when we just put the hood up is it's actually got gas struts. You don't have to put the arm up anymore and prop it up in place. I guess I'm stuck in the olden days when I'm thinking about cars and the design of them. But they just become more sleeker, and you know, this front grille and the lights on the side right here. Now the actual plate itself is from the dealership right here, so Chery BorisHof, and then the actual phone number for the dealership. Then when you actually eventually buy the car, you get the plates for local registration. My main goal in making this video was to come to this dealership and to show you these Russian manufactured cars. Now obviously there is a story to how they've ended up being manufactured here in Russia at the Volkswagen factory, and how Volkswagen left Russia, and then the story goes on. However, the fact that they're now able to full cycle manufacture cars locally and then sell them here in this dealership is what's interesting for me and possibly interesting for you. Now, I do have a question for everybody around the world. If you might have bought a new car, were you curious where it was made, where it was manufactured, where the actual factory was? Or is it not a factor in your decision making when you buy cars? Let me know in the comments what you think. For me, living here in Russia, I think the more that I live here and the longer that I live here, the more you realize the capabilities that the Russians have to make and manufacture things and produce things, rather than simply importing things from another country, which, coming from Australia, we don't manufacture a lot of things. We import them because it's cheaper and easier, and we wouldn't, decide just to start making cars because there was a factory available to us. We'd import them because that's just the way it's been going in Australia for a lot of years now, and the support of the government basically stopped car manufacturing in Australia, essentially. I'm probably learning more about the car now that I'm actually here looking at them than the information that I was reading about them before I turned up here, and by speaking to the staff and just asking some basic questions. So this is the TENET T7, and this is a slightly bigger car than the T4, and a little bit more spacious interior. So 150 horsepower, 1.6 litre. Now, this is actually not the speed of the car, as I pointed out. It's actually the Newton meters of torque, 275. So I'm sorry if I explained that earlier. I don't do many retakes when I'm filming videos. I just literally press record and go for it. Now I've actually opened the few extra doors, so up on the display here is the door sensors going off, and again the electric windows, electric mirrors, actually also heated seats as well, so full airbags, air conditioning, the CarPlay technology. Very nice. It's a little bit more stylish. It's also got this, what do they call this, finish, this lightweight carbon fiber look. I'm not sure if this is, maybe it's called Kaluga fiber, being that it's from Russia. Actually, definitely in the back there is a lot more space to sit in the back. Now actually the passenger seat is pushed back a little bit, but there's more than enough room to sit in here. And you've also got the rear controls for the air conditioning as well, and I think actually the rear heated seats, which I think in Russia is a bit of a must in winter time, compared to in Australia where you'd be wanting air conditioning. I think this also has upgraded lights as well, front and rear. Just looking at the difference between the two models. Bigger boot space as well. Interestingly, it's got the cherry matte at the back right here. There's obviously a lot of things that are taken from the cherry car to build these TENET cars here in Russia. I'm still not a fan of white cars. The minute it starts snowing here and gets slushy, it's not going to be a beautiful looking car. Not to overcomplicate the video too much, because the longer I stay here, the more I learn and the more I want to keep talking about these cars. So initially there is these two different models, the T4 and T7, and they are also going to be releasing other models under the TENET brand. Now they've actually got the Cherry Tiggo 7L here, which is their premium model, or more premium than the two TENET models. However, they'll be manufacturing this as a TENET car in the future. Now, naturally, out of a car plant, you can't just produce every car every day of the week. So this is the Tiggo 7L Prime. So this is the front-wheel drive version, which is what the other couple of cars were as well. And eventually, they'll also produce all-wheel drive versions of this car also. And a few other different specs on the car right there. Now, the videos I'm making are not about the price, because of course people are going to start comparing apples and apples and oranges and bananas. But the next model up, you get a little bit more of a fancier interior. You even get the lighting on the kick panels right here, 12-speaker stereo, and then also panoramic roof as well. So you can actually pull and push this closed. Of course, it's electric, but you've got also the surround cameras as well, reversing cameras, and then when you're changing lanes, you have that also on the dashboard with these displays. So you can get, or you will be able to get, different models as they become available locally. Just the fact that they're made down the road is so interesting for me personally as well. One of the advantages of buying a Russian-made car from a Russian dealership right here would actually be the warranty. Now, if you were to buy a car that's coming from a brand that's left Russia, you wouldn't have the actual dealership warranty of the car. You could, of course, buy insurance to cover things like that, which is what people are doing now when they're buying new cars from brands that have left Russia. But TENET basically gives you 3-year warranty plus 2 years of additional technical support. So 3 years plus 2 years, and then 100,000 kilometers of warranty plus 50,000 kilometers of support. So I think that's very normal for most car dealerships around the world. You'd be able to bring the car back to this dealership right here, and anything that happens to the car, they take care of it for you. It's a little bit dark outside to show the rest of the dealership now, but here is Belgium and a couple of the different cars. So these are made in Minsk in Belarus, the Belgium brand, and then the Toyota logo. And of course, they've also got Lexus, which comes under the Toyota brand as well. And if we need a brand new RAV4, they have one sitting right here for us in this black color, the favorite of all of the premium cars. I think in all of Moscow when you go to a car dealership. So we can still get a Toyota if we want one. So I thought we'd actually have a little bit of a chat to one of the dealers right here. Now, let everybody know your name.
My name is Roman.
Roman. Now, where are you from?
I'm from Russia.
Now,
Omsk, Siberia.
So you're not from Moscow, you're from Siberia.
From Siberia.
So this must be like summertime weather for you right now. Now, you're one of the salesmen here at the Cherry TENET dealership.
Cherry, TENET and Exceed.
And Exceed, so the whole sort of building where we are here.
Yeah.
Now, of course, we're seeing the TENET cars right in front of us. I've walked around them. What do you think?
It's a good car. I sell them 2 years, and we have more positive odds of it.
Right. So basically, Cherry cars
Cherry.
are what we're looking at, but the TENET brand is the cars that are manufactured here in Russia.
Yes.
So the Cherry
in Kaluga.
In Kaluga, right? Yeah, down the highway here. Have you been to the factory? Have you visited the Kaluga factory?
No, I'm not visited. We plan.
Okay. I think that'll be very interesting.
We plan to go here in December.
Okay.
In December this year.
Oh, okay. So now, of course, we saw the white colors here. Now, do people have a favorite color so far?
TENET have 4-5 colors in completation. This car is white. It's very popular. Very popular in Russia. White, black, and silver.
And silver color. Yeah. Now, I noticed out the back you've got quite a few TENET models parked up. So as they're being manufactured, they're coming straight here.
Yeah.
Literally, they.
One today, 1, 2, or 3 day car
from the factory.
From the factory, I believe, to here.
Ready for sale.
Yes.
Wow. So you were saying that you've been selling them for a couple of years. So basically the cherry models you've been selling, and then now these are the Russian manufactured cherry cars as the TENET brand. So I explained it as much as I could. Now, I do have a question without notice. Which car do you drive?
I drive BMW.
A BMW?
5-0, yeah.
Now, I think almost everybody when I ask, they either say BMW or an Audi. And I think that seems to be the...
Not Audi, BMW.
BMW. So, now BMW are not in Russia, but you can still buy them.
Yes, we can buy this car in our country.
Yeah.
In our country from parallel import.
Right. So yeah, there's definitely no hiding that the cars that are coming to Russia are available, but obviously there's an increase in price because of the logistics.
Yes.
And I think
logistics and porcelain.
Right. Yeah. So whereas now the fact that they can make them domestically, now the other car that I know that's from Moscow is the Moscovich.
Yes.
Now, would you say they're on par with each other, or is this a better car?
This is the best car.
Now,
Moskvich, no. Я не могу про конкурентов плохо говорить.
So now we didn't plan the interview, by the way. I just switched the microphone on. This is my normal style of doing this. So now a question I have about people buying cars. Do they come only on the weekends? Do people shop on Mondays or Tuesdays?
People shop every day.
Every day. So there isn't like a busier time of year even, like in summer or winter?
No. This we sell more cars weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, but today we sell 3 cars.
On a Monday?
On Monday, yeah.
On a month. So people. Now, obviously, the TENET brand is new in Russia. Now, I was going to say it's only a few weeks ago, but I think quite a few months.
But people know brand Cherry,
yes.
And we tell that TENET, it's good. That TENET Cherry, it's a...
And the fact that it's manufactured at the previous Volkswagen factory,
yes.
I think that's the main thing. Thank you so much. You've been amazing. And I'm going to put your information in the description of the video. Yeah. So if anybody comes here, they can look for you.
Thank you.
One last look at the TENET cars as I head on outside. It's actually completely dark. I've been here quite a bit longer than I realized. And it's just such an interesting story, these cars that are completely manufactured here in the Moscow region and in the factory that was producing Volkswagens. And slowly over time, they're going to release more models and more premium models with more features. However, for now, they've got a couple of models here ready to go. And like Roman said, they sold 3 cars today. Now, probably, it really depends on the day of the week and the weather, I think, a lot on that. But people are buying cars. Even on a Monday, on a working day. Because it's very dark outside, I'll do the ending right here. I just want to say a massive thank you to Roman, who did the little interview right there. And if you're in Moscow and you're interested in cars, I will put all the information about this dealership in the description, like I do all the videos. I quite literally just turned up here a few hours ago, and I'd let them know that I was going to film a video. It doesn't look strange with the camera. And it's just so nice and so interesting to learn a little bit of the story of this dealership and how long the staff have been working here. And I hope it was an interesting video for you to see. Russian cars that are manufactured here in Russia, and it wasn't a Lada. So how cool is that? If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and post a comment. Let me know what you think. Maybe you drive a Cherry car already. Maybe you know this brand very well before now. Be interesting to know what cars everybody is driving. Back in Australia, I had a Hyundai. I think I've said that more than once in many videos. So thanks everybody. If you want to follow me on Telegram, the link to my channel is right here. And if you want to watch another video, I'll find another car video for you to watch right after this, and you can keep traveling with Russell. Okay everybody, I'm off on another adventure. Bye.